I think I've just found my favorite sidekick from ancient mythology. I mean, what did the ancient Greeks typically put on their coins? The face of their leaders, important symbols of their kingdoms or city-states, and especially their gods. And as far as which gods they picked, generally we can find on most coins those super famous main gods of their pantheon. Zeus, Poseidon, Athena, demigods like Herakles, basically the truly powerful ones you, as a mortal, would want to gain favor with. But you see, Greek mythology is incredibly rich, and its stories are packed with these secondary characters that interact with the main characters of their pantheon as a way of helping move their narrative forward, or representing some sort of challenge to heroes such as Herakles, as a way of forcing these characters to put forward their most impressive talents, their virtues, or sometimes even their darker sides. And every now and then these secondary characters made their way into coins. Today I have yet another beautiful Greek tetradrachma to show you, so kindly provided by Kinzer Coins, who's once again kindly sponsoring this content. Make sure to check out the great coins they have for sale at kinzercoins.com, where you can buy this very same coin, as well as a great inventory of finely curated coins for your collections. They also run a podcast, The Ancient Coin Hour, which you should definitely listen to, as they always discuss topics for beginners and advanced collectors alike. I'll leave a link to their shop and their podcast in the video description. Alright, back to our coin here. This is a tetradrachma struck at the island of Kos between 350 and 345 BC. The city that gave its name to the island was incredibly old, being mentioned in the Iliad as sending a contingent of soldiers to help the Greeks fight the Trojans. Kos was also the birthplace of Hippocrates, the father of medicine, in 460 BC. Ptolemy II of Egypt, famous for building the library and the lighthouse of Alexandria, was also born in Kos. How surprising. I mean, his father, Ptolemy I, took his wife with him while he was on campaign, and turns out she was pregnant, so she gave birth to Ptolemy II while their army was wintering on the island. But what I like the most about Kos is its cult to the demigod Herakles. In his 12 labors, Herakles gets stranded on the island. The locals thought he was a pirate, and at first sent a couple of guards to arrest him. They didn't come back. Then they sent more soldiers. They didn't come back either. Finally, they sent their entire garrison, and Herakles single-handedly defeats the entire Kosan army. Instead of holding a grudge against him, Kos worshipped Herakles as the main deity, the main patron deity of the island, and its coinage extensively shows the bust of Herakles wearing the skin of the Nemean lion. If you are a numismatist, this design will immediately remind you of the coins issued under Alexander the Great, very common and very famous type. But this coin we have here predates the introduction of the Alexander type by a few decades. While on the Alexander types we have an unusual, clean-shaven Herakles. Here in this coin, he's depicted much more in line with what his descriptions says he was. An angry-looking, bearded man, a bit of a savage really. He looks particularly beast-like with the skinned lion over his head. There's this debate if whether the face of the Herakles on Alexander's coins might be Alexander himself, which makes sense considering how different he looks compared to most other depictions of Herakles on coins, like the piece we're looking at today. But since there are coins from older members of Alexander's dynasty with the same design showing the demigod unbearded, it might be just the case of an unbearded Herakles, and that's that, a stylistic choice. And then we get to the reverse, which in my opinion is by far the coolest part of this coin. What the hell is this gigantic crab doing here? Well, he is linked to the story of Herakles. In one of his 12 labors, he was tasked with slaying a sea monster called a Hydra. It was a giant serpent with 9 heads. Each time Herakles cut one of the heads out, 2 new heads would grow from the decapitated stump. Herakles had to enlist the help of his companion, Iolaus. Each time he cut one of the heads, Iolaus would come and burn the stump, preventing the new head from growing again. But the Hydra also had a friend, a crab, Karkinos. When it saw Herakles attacking its friend, it went to its rescue, pinching and biting on Herakles' leg. He did not hesitate for a second, like, what is this crab doing here? And he just crushed the poor thing, killing it instantly. The goddess Hera, the main enemy of Herakles, took pity on the crab. It had nothing to do with the struggles between her and Herakles and the Hydra. It was just defending its friend. And for merely trying to help, the poor thing was completely destroyed. So as an award to this display of friendship, she rose Karkinos to the stars, transforming it into the constellation of Cancer. So with that new piece of mythological knowledge, now we know what on earth is a crab doing on this coin. Since the island venerated Herakles, all of his stories were very well known, so the story of Karkinos was probably chosen to be depicted on the reverse. Apart from the crab, we also have a nice square border marked with pellets, marking the outer edge of the design. Over Karkinos, we can read Koson, and under it, the name Nestoridas. This was probably the magistrate responsible for the mint that year. It was a big responsibility to handle the island's finances and the issue of its silver coins. So by putting his name on the coin, he was putting his reputation on the line that all coins issued under his name were of good quality and weight. And finally, under his name, a small representation of the club used by Herakles as his main weapon. This was most likely a control mark from the mint. This coin is yet another wonderful display on how numismatics can teach us so much about history and mythology. How many of you would have thought this crab was just a symbol representing the sea, or just a crab? After all, this coin was struck at an island. Now I want to hear from you, collectors. Do you have a coin featuring a secondary mythological character? Some sort of sidekick? Let us know in the comment section down below. Remember to leave a like and consider subscribing if you did. Thank you once more for Kinzer Coins for sponsoring the channel. Happy collecting, and I'll see you soon.